And so sometimes one of the things that we deal with, so a client hires us to file a bankruptcy and they don't have a garnishment. They're taking time, it's taking time to get their case filed. So someone may retain us November 1st, but all of a sudden it's November 20th and they get a garnishment, their case isn't filed. The one thing I want to make sure is people understand that there's really nothing formally we can do to stop a garnishment for a client until we get the bankruptcy filed. So just because, they retain a lawyer, we'll reach out to the creditors, it'll stop the harassing phone calls. But until we file the bankruptcy, it's not going to stop creditors from garnishing clients' wages. Hello, this is attorney Jamie Miller, and welcome to another edition of the Miller Law Chronicles podcast. Today, we're going to talk about some fun stuff. We're going to talk about Christmas as it's just around the corner, Christmas movies. We're going to talk about garnishments and all kinds of fun stuff. Today, joining me, of course, is my trusty podcast partner, Deborah Stencel. Good morning, Deborah. How are you?
Good morning, Jamie. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good. And you had another topic you wanted to talk about. I think it slipped my mind. What was the first one that we were?
The NBA Cup.
Oh, the NBA Cup. So tell me about it. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I don't get it.
Okay. It's interesting. The NBA is trying to make the season a little bit more interesting. So they created this mid-season basketball tournament that allows every team to kind of participate, which culminates in the Final Four tournament in Vegas, which just happened this week, with the Bucks winning the Emirates Cup and being the champions. But the great thing about the cup and the real motivating thing, of course, is the money.
Right.
And if you talk to any of the players or heard interviews like Giannis or Dame Lillard or, Shea Gilgeous Alexander, who plays for Oklahoma City, the winning team, every member of the winning team gets a $514,000 bonus. So the top line players who are making millions of dollars, that's a lot of money. But the bottom of the bench players that are making $1 million or something like that, which is still significant, that 514,000 really means a lot.
Right.
So the top line players, really wanted to win that money for the bench players, and it was really fun to see the excitement of Giannis and Dame and Bobby Portis, how excited they were to see the excitement of the younger players who were getting that huge payday.
That's amazing. Did the second place team they got something?
They got something. I don't know what they got, but it's funny because they interviewed in the press conference after Oklahoma City. A couple of guys were up there and they're kind of, how do you feel about losing? And the NBA probably didn't want them to say this, but said that, we just lost a ton of money. The money was that important of a factor to motivate them. But it's a great thing for the Bucks. It's a great sign for the Bucks. They're really peaking or improving. They started off their season really bad, and now they're getting much better. They're headed in the right direction. They're above 500. Hopefully, this tournament motivates them to have a continued great season. A lot going on in sports in Wisconsin. I mean, we really have the Bucks, who are on the right trajectory, but also the Packers, I think, have a 95% chance of making the playoffs. So it's going to be a fun January, February for Wisconsin sports.
That is very exciting. Is there any news about the WNBA bid? Weren't we trying to get a WNBA team?
Yes, and how amazing would that be? I would love that too. I hear it is a long shot for Wisconsin or from the Bucks to get a WNBA franchise, but I think down the road we'll get one. I think it's just a matter of how long. I think there's only 10 WNBA teams, and they want to get it up in the 20s. And
Mm.
there's other larger markets that I think they're going to want to fill first before they fill Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is Christmas, which is next week around the corner. And kind of you and I were having a nice chat offline before we started the podcast today. Tell me a little bit about Christmas, what it means to you, what you like, and I'd like to share some of my thoughts.
Oh, it's a really special year for my family. We have two new grand nephews born in the last year. So that is amazing and exciting. So my sister's grandchild and my other sister's grandchild. So new babies in the house, and my father getting to meet them and hold them is a big deal. It's great grandchildren. Can you imagine?
Right.
So that's really exciting. Normally on Christmas Eve, we have a big family party, and my stepmother makes traditional Italian food, and we play silly games and spend hours together, and it's quite a bit of fun. So,
And does that start Christmas Eve?
yeah,
And,
yeah, yep. We get together, around 4 and stay until we're all asleep.
right. And you indicated that the things that one would want or get for Christmas is not the priority this season for you. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think I'm really, as my mother-in-law would say, blessed. Both sides of the family really put a priority on time together versus stuff. So we get gifts for children, and we exchange small things amongst my siblings in a sort of round robin kind of way. And it's simple, and it's more about being together, I think, is what's nice. And even Matt and I, we don't really exchange gifts. Our first Christmas together, we set an $8 limit.
Oh.
Yeah, so this year we promised to get to do a weekend away instead of spending money on presents, which I'm pretty much looking forward to. So,
It's very nice. I'm Jewish, and so we celebrate Hanukkah. And this year, Hanukkah, the first day of Hanukkah, falls on Christmas. And
oh,
so that's the first time that that's happened in a long time. Hanukkah's 8 days. And so many years, Hanukkah passes over, so it starts before Christmas, ends after. But this year, falling on Christmas Day is really interesting. All of the Jewish holidays this year have come really late,
mm-hmm.
but I'm Hanukkah's sem isn't not a huge holiday for Jews. It's not one of our big holidays. It's because it has always come at the same time of year as Christmas. People kind of associate it with Christmas. Christmas is such a huge holiday for Christians. And because Hanukkah is that time of year, people assume that's the huge holiday, which it's not. But it's a holiday where kids love because for Jewish kids, they get gifts and all that kind of thing. So we're looking forward to it. But I've always just had a love affair with Christmas. I love Christmas music,
Mm.
and I can't wait. And before the internet and Apple Music and all that kind of fun stuff, I was always looking forward to that first Christmas station that went to Christmas music. I love the classic Christmas music more than the modern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll listen to a Dean Martin or Nat King Cole or Bing Crosby Christmas over anything else. The new stuff just is nice, it's quirky, but that doesn't do it for me the same way.
I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way. I remember my parents' Christmas records. They had like two, and they were
Right.
compilations that they got for free from the gas station. It was like a promotion in the 60s and 70s. They used to do that a lot. And, so there was Doris Day and the Pat Conniff Singers, I think was the name of them.
Right.
Just these old goofy groups who would these fun songs. I love all that stuff. I play the Christmas music as soon as they started on the radio and on Sirius XM in my car. I love it.
Right. Yeah, and it's like this year Jimmy Fallon came out with a Christmas album. And I was like, how's he making money on that? because he's not singing Christmas songs. They're new Christmas kind of funny songs,
Mm,
and there's just crazy. There's really a market out there for it, I guess. But my love of Christmas really came from growing up with a family that owned a retail store. So Christmas was really just a very busy time, and everyone, all hands on deck, working in the store, and the Christmas music playing all the time, and being really busy. And my dad coming home, on Christmas Eve and collapsing because he was just so exhausted from
yeah.
the holiday season. And then his worst day of the year was the day after Christmas when everyone brought everything back. Um, that was that's just opening up the cash register and returning all the
Oh,
money. But do you have any favorite Christmas movies?
well, I've always been a fan of It's a Wonderful Life. Just makes me cry every time. I will watch a Christmas movie, but that's my favorite. There's I can't remember what country, Sweden or Denmark, did a really fun snow zombie movie. So it's like a sort of funny horror, but it takes place in the snow and it's at Christmas. I enjoy those. But what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Well, White Christmas is my favorite pure Christmas movie. I just love that movie. I could watch it over and over again.
Oh,
And over again, and I've already watched it twice. But my strange favorite Christmas movie, because it makes me laugh, is A Very Brady Christmas. And Felicia and I know that movie, every word of that movie. It is the corniest, silliest movie of all time, and it's impossible to find. So, like, I have it on DVD, but I haven't owned a DVD player in a long time. So, if you want to watch it, you can watch it for free on Pluto TV.
oh,
So, if you get bored and you want to watch it,
is that the one with the original cast and Florence Henderson sings Silent Night and there's some sort of collapse at the building site?
yes, I'm so happy that you know that. And they have a substitute Cindy in there. Cindy's not in it.
Oh,
And yes, it's not Silent Night, it's O Come All Ye Faithful.
it is Oh Come All Ye Faithful. Okay.
Yeah, and it's at the end because if you don't mind, let me tell you a story. So Carol and Mike want to go on a Christmas vacation, and Carol wants to go to Greece and Mike wants to go to China. And then they both realize that what they really want, instead of the spend the money on the trip, they want to fly the kids home. So they bring all the kids home. But Carol is a real estate salesperson and Mike is an architect. So Carol sells a plot of land, and Mike is the architect. And the owner of the land is kind of a greedy kind of guy and wants to save money on constructing the building. So, of course, on Christmas Eve, the building collapses, and Mike is called in as the engineer of the project to go in and save the workmen. So, I'm not sure why he was the one, but then he goes in and then the family is at the construction site waiting for Mike to come out, and then they sing "Oh Come All You Faithful." But then Mike comes out, of course, and then the corny thing at the end is it rises up. Mike's out, the family's all hugging, and it shows what street they're on, and they're on 34th Street.
Nice. Oh,
But if I have anxiety or something, or I have stress, or I'm just having a bad day, all year round, I'll turn on that movie.
I like it. I like it. That's nice. That's nice. That's a nice window into your soul, Jamie.
It just connects with me.
Oh.
Um, what else do you want to talk about?
What about garnishments?
Garnishments. So with the creditor being Scrooge, right? So you owe somebody money, they sued you, they're taking a judgment against you in court, and then they come in and they want to take a garnishment. So how does a garnishment work?
Well, if a person is employed and they don't have child support, a creditor with a judgment can get an order to take 20% of their paycheck.
Of their gross paycheck.
Yes.
It's gross wages.
Yes.
Right. So, I owe money to Discover. Discover hires a lawyer. They sue me in state court. They take a judgment against me. Once there's an order from the court adjudicating that that's a valid debt, that allows the creditor to take certain actions, which includes garnishing wages. So often what will happen is the creditor will schedule what's called a supplemental exam. And the supplemental exam is like a deposition or questioning, the debtor, someone that owes money,
Mm-hmm.
calling them in. They're doing them on Zoom now, or you can get called into a court commissioner's office. You'll raise your hand under penalties of perjury, and they'll ask you where you work. Then once they find out where you work, they'll go back to the court and they'll get an order approving a garnishment of wages. Once they have that order approving the garnishment of wages, it's sent to the employer and to the debtor, right? The person that owns the money.
I mean,
That
I
owes the money.
believe it's supposed to go to the debtor, but honestly, my clients usually find out about it when their employer tells them, I'm going to take a big chunk of your paycheck and send it to these other people. So I'm not sure that they are universally getting the notices. They usually find out from the employer.
And so discover somebody works at Amazon and they get a notice from Amazon, hey, George, we want you to know that Discover has sent through a garnishment. How would you like us to handle this? What can George do to protect himself from the garnishment?
The absolute first thing George should do is ask for the paperwork. The employer got some paperwork from the court that said what the case was, who the defendant or debtor was, and attached to the back should be a very important form. It's called the debtor's answer. And that is a way that the debtor can try to stop the garnishment if he or she or they qualify.
And what do they need to do? So they have this garnishment, they have this garnishment answer.
Mm-hmm.
And what are the steps they need to do to fill that out?
Well, so the form lays it out for you. You fill out the top with the information about what kind of what lawsuit it is and who the parties are. And then there are check boxes. And if you're saying that you don't owe this money because it's not you or you filed a bankruptcy already, there are boxes for that. If you're saying I shouldn't be garnished because I don't make enough money, or I am on food share or Badger Care or got some other relief provided under public assistance, which protects you from being garnished for a period, or you don't make enough money to be garnished, you can check those boxes. Then you sign it, you put your address and your phone number, and you give it back to the employer. The employer is commanded not to garnish you, but to send the document back to the creditor or its attorney. And if they have a problem with the form, they have to ask for a hearing. The creditor, has to ask for a hearing. Then you might have to prove that you're too poor to be garnished or that you get food share. So I always tell people, attach a copy of your food share reward letter to it. That'll speed things along. Well, I was going to say the really cool thing about being on public assistance is not only does it protect you from garnishment while you are on public assistance, but there's also a 6-month window after you come off of public assistance where you can't be garnished, because the law recognizes you need a little time to get caught up and get, your head above water, even after they take away the food share or the Badger Care or whatever the public assistance was. So if you had it, they canceled it last month, but the garnishment order comes in today, you can stop that garnishment by showing them proof that you were on it in the last 6 months, and they have to wait.
Right. And what if, you go to fill out form. So the form says my earnings are completely exempt from garnishment. Defense is the judgment's been paid.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's been paid. I mark that box. I send it in. It hasn't been figured out yet. Well, based on just submitting this form to the employer, will the employer stop is permitted to stop the garnishment
Yes,
until the creditor goes to court and has that adjudicated?
that's right. That's right.
And does a debtor, someone that owes the money, do they need a lawyer to fill out this form?
No, no. I mean, it's one page. You check the boxes that apply. You tell the truth, because if you don't, there could be consequences. I understand that if I claim something in bad faith, meaning I told a lie, I may be held liable for actual damages like attorney's fees. So, you tell the truth. If you believe it's been paid, you check that box and then turn it in. And if the creditor doesn't agree, they'll set a hearing and you'll have to bring proof of payment, right?
It doesn't sound that complicated.
It's not. The hard part is that people don't know that this is a thing that can protect them. Sometimes the creditor doesn't give you the paperwork, and sometimes you don't get it in the mail. And so knowing that this exists is a big thing, because if your employer won't give it, say you work for a really big company like, I don't know, Amazon, and maybe they don't forward the whole package of information, you have to go and find it yourself. Now, if you Google or online search Wisconsin debtors answer, this form will come up immediately. They also have it available at the courthouse if you aren't on the internet.
Right. So once you fill out this form, you need to make sure you serve it properly. And it
Mm-hmm,
says right on the form, deliver it or mail a copy of this form to your employer
mm-hmm,
and fill the date of delivery or mailing.
mm-hmm.
And then the employer is then responsible for sending it to the creditor.
That's correct. That's correct. Now, I always tell people, if you can, make a copy with proof that you gave it to your employer, because sometimes employers get busy and the HR department or payroll department doesn't know what to do exactly, so they might move slowly. So you need to keep a copy for yourself with the date that you gave it to them, just so you can get money back in case getting the
Right.
garnishment stopped is delayed. If you can show that you sent it when you sent it, you might get some money back.
Got it. And so sometimes one of the things that we deal with, so a client hires us to file a bankruptcy and they don't have a garnishment. They're taking time, it's taking time to get their case filed. So someone may retain us November 1st, but all of a sudden it's November 20th and they get a garnishment, their case isn't filed. The one thing I want to make sure is people understand that there's really nothing formally we can do to stop a garnishment for a client until we get the bankruptcy filed. So just because, they retain a lawyer, we'll reach out to the creditors, it'll stop the harassing phone calls. But until we file the bankruptcy, it's not going to stop creditors from garnishing clients' wages. So this is why we get these questions. Well, I retained you for bankruptcy, stop the garnishment. I go, well, I'm sorry, yes, thank you. You did retain us to file a bankruptcy, but I can't formally help you until we get your case filed. This is what we need from you to get your case filed. This is when we'll get your case filed. But in the meantime, get this garnishment answer filed
Mm-hmm.
so that your wages don't get
Mm-hmm.
garnished, right?
Right, right.
Anything else to add about garnishment?
Well, in not all cases, but in some cases, if you are garnished before a bankruptcy is filed and that amount exceeds $600, in some cases, we can get a portion or all of your money back. It depends on each person's individual situation, how much stuff they own, and available exemptions. But so that's a discussion that would need to be had with each individual person filing who's been garnished. But there is a possibility. So sometimes when you're being garnished, it's important to hurry up and get your case filed, not only to
Right.
stop that, but to get some of your money back.
Right, exactly. And it's not, I always talk to people that are getting garnished. I never promise that we're going to get the money back because you never know.
Right.
But in theory, if someone's been garnished, anything above, and it's more than $600 in the 90 days. So if they were garnished $5.99, they wouldn't get anything back in the last 90 days.
Right.
But if they were garnished 2,000, they would get the full, should be able to apply to get the full 2,000 back, subject to, some conditions and restrictions and that type of thing that you talked about. Are you doing any comedy sports in the next couple weeks at all? Anything, any holiday stuff going on?
So Friday night are the naughty and nice shows. So the first show is all ages. It's a bunch of players, sort of bigger than a normal show. And then the naughty show's at 10 o'clock, and it's just maybe PG-13 plus. Normally, comedy
Okay.
sports is all family friendly, all ages, anybody can come. But this weekend on Friday, the second one is maybe PG-13, just because of the theme, naughty and nice shows. And then I
Right.
am playing Friday night in regular comedy sports shows at 7:30 and 10, and those are all ages all the time.
You're so busy. One of the things I'm looking forward to, were you a fan of Luther Vandross?
I mean, I appreciate Luther Vandross, but I never owned an album. Let's put it that way.
So there's two TV things coming up in the next couple weeks that I'm excited about. Number one, Luther Vandross documentary is on CNN on Christmas Day.
Oh,
So that documentary was in the theaters in the last few weeks, but it's going to be for free on CNN. The other thing on Netflix is Squid Games 2 comes out on December 26th.
well, that's something to look forward to. Speaking of documentaries of sorts, did you see The Violent Femmes with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra last weekend?
No.
You have
Did you
got to
go?
find that. You've got to find it. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I had the best time.
Oh, you went?
I did not get to go to the concert. It was in October, but the
Okay.
recorded concert is on PBS. And
It,
it was so fun. Matt and I were singing and dancing in the living room watching it.
oh my God. I got to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Oh, I love that. Well, that's awesome. Well, it was so nice podcasting with you today.
Thank you. Thank
Wishing you
you.
a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, a great 2025, and enjoy your peaceful holiday with your lovely family. And I hope Matt comes through with that $8 gift for you this year.
Excellent. And a very Brady Christmas to you.
Thank you so much.